Hi everyone, thanks for watching this video. I am Mathieu Remazey, a tenure researcher at the Spanish National Research Council, and I work at the Institute of Physics of Cantabria. So this talk is about a new method to constrain cosmic birefringence in the CMB using internal linear combination, ILC. And for those who are unfamiliar with it, let me start with a brief reminder of what the ILC is. So ILC is a component separation method widely used by Planck, ACT, and WMAP to extract CMB anisotropy from multi-frequency sky maps and to mitigate galactic foreground contaminations. So it works as a weighted linear combination of the frequency maps, and the ILC weights W across the frequency channels are constrained to sum to 1 to ensure the preservation of the achromatic or frequency-independent CMB signal, while chromatic components like foregrounds are down-weighted via minimum variance weighting. And the weights can be defined in pixel space, harmonic space, or even wavelet or needlet space, providing spectral and spatial variation and adaptability to the foreground contamination. So the distinct response of the ILC to achromatic and chromatic components is a key feature that we will exploit for birefringence diagnostics, as I will show later. So speaking about cosmic birefringence, as you know, if a dynamical pseudoscalar field like axion-like particles couple to CMB photon via a Chern-Simons term, then the universe behaves as a birefringent material which rotates the CMB polarization by an angle beta, mixing E and B modes and inducing a non-zero parity-violating EB correlation between CMB, E, and B mode anisotropies. So measuring the EB correlation and constraining the angle beta will translate into bounds onto either the dynamic of the fields or its coupling to the CMB photons. However, the miscalibration of the polarization angles by the detectors of the instruments rotates also the observed polarization by a random angle alpha, and this one is frequency dependent. So there is a degeneracy between beta and alpha in the observed EB spectrum across the frequency. And the main challenge is to disentangle the cosmological rotation beta and the instrumental rotation alpha. So how to break this degeneracy between beta and alpha? In 2020, Minami and Komatsu proposed a solution to this problem. Um, Unlike CMB photons, which are rotated by beta plus alpha, galactic foreground emissions are rotated only by alpha because galactic photons do not propagate long enough to be affected by cosmic birefringence. So to break the degeneracy, you can compare the EB spectra from high latitude region at CMB frequency, because those are sensitive to beta plus alpha, and compare them to EB spectra from low latitude regions at foreground dominated frequency, which are sensitive only to alpha. And comparing the two enables to separate the two effects, beta and alpha. So this approach is very interesting, but it is parametric and rely on assumption on the foreground EB models, EB correlations. And it requires also nearly full sky observations. So here in my work, I propose an alternative non-parametric approach based on ILC. And here is the key observation. The cosmological rotation beta is achromatic, independent of frequency. In contrast, the instrumental rotation alpha is chromatic. And we know that the ILC respond differently to achromatic versus chromatic effects. So this should provide an avenue to break the degeneracy between beta and alpha. By construction, the ILC weights across frequency channels sum to 1, ensuring the preservation of achromatic signal like the true CMB. And so the ILC will treat differently achromatic rotation and chromatic rotation. the chromatic beta is left unchanged by the ILC weights, while the ILC weights modulate the chromatic angle alpha. And because the ILC weights or harmonic ILC weights varies across multipoles, the projected miscalibration angle alpha bar after ILC will inherit this L dependence from the ILC weights. In contrast, the projected cosmological rotation remains constant and unchanged by the ILC. So now from the reconstructed CMB E and B mode maps by the ILC, we can compute the EB spectrum, which will have this expression with variable alpha projected miscalibration angle, but constant beta. And we can build an observable, which is this ratio, the EB spectrum after ILC divided by the difference between the EE and BB spectra from lambda CDM. And this ratio, of course, if beta equal 0, if there is no birefringence, behaves as a function of L. But if beta is non-zero and dominate over miscalibration, this ratio uh, becomes constant across multipole and nearly flat. So the flatness of this observable provide a clean diagnostic for cosmic birefringence. So I apply this to Lightbird simulation in these plots for two different rotation scenarios with or without birefringence. And you can see uh, in red, in the absence of birefringence, if beta equals 0, this ratio indeed exhibits strong variation across multipole, while in the presence of birefringence in blue, the ratio becomes nearly flat and constant across multipole, as expected from the analytic formula. Now, this is for an ILC implemented in harmonic space, but if we implement the ILC in needlet space, this introduce, in addition to variation across multipole, spatial variations on the weights, which propagate onto the projected alpha and which inject spatial structure into this ratio. And so, again, in the absence of birefringence, the ratio R show spatial variations with sky fraction in addition to variation across multipole. While again, this ratio remains constant across multipole and across varying sky fraction in the presence of birefringence in blue. So this provides a clean diagnostic, purely data-driven, that we will exploit later on Planck PR4 data for diagnostic of cosmic birefringence. The second part of this methodology is what I call hybrid ILC, combining E and B channels. So I told you that an ILC preserves achromatic signal like CMB, but this is true only if the CMB is uncorrelated with the foregrounds. Any correlated part will be subtracted along with foregrounds by variance minimization. So when you do a normal standard ILC on E-mode frequency channels only, N channels, and you target CMB E-mode anisotropies, which are achromatic, so have a spectral response of unity across all E-mode frequencies, a standard ILC will preserve the full CMB E-mode signal because it is uncorrelated with foregrounds. Now, if you perform an hybrid ILC by combining simultaneously E and B mode frequency maps, so two N channels, but still targeting at CMB E mode anisotropy. In this case, the spectral response of your signal is unity across E mode channels, but zero across ancillary B mode channels. And this hybrid ILC will have an interesting outcome. Without birefringence, the signal, the CMB E mode, and the foreground, the CMB B mode anisotropies, are uncorrelated. So the reconstructed E mode is preserved like a normal ILC. But in the presence of birefringence, the part of the CMB mode signal that correlate with CMB mode will be suppressed as a foreground. So the outcome of the ILC is to preserve only the uncorrelated component of CMB mode anisotropies, and the difference between the standard ILC map and the hybrid ILC map will isolate the birefringence-induced correlated component of CMB mode anisotropy, which linearly regresses with CMB B-modes. So this is the main idea here. And to illustrate the difference between standard ILC and hybrid ILC, let me show you the results on simulation of the Lightbird experiments, Lightbird sky simulation, D1S1, for 4 different scenarios with or without birefringence, with birefringence on top, without birefringence on the bottom, and with or without miscalibration error on the left or on the right without miscalibration error. So for these 4 cases, the reconstructed uh, E-mode power spectrum from the standard ILC in blue or the hybrid ILC in red closely match the true CMB E-mode power spectrum. But if we look into more detail in the sub-panel, the ratio of the output spectrum versus input spectrum, we can see that in the standard ILC in blue recover the full CMB E-mode signal in all cases, while the hybrid ILC shows some deficit of power at low multiple or high multiple, depending on the rotation scenario. This is because the hybrid ILC extract only the uncorrelated uh, component of the CMB E-mode anisotropies. The correlated part is lost in the process if there is birefringence or uh, instrumental miscalibration. Now let's have a look at the EB cross spectrum. So in blue for the standard ILC EB spectrum, which recover this signal, the expected signal in the presence of birefringence in black on the top panel. In the absence of birefringence, there is no correlation between the CMB-E and B modes for the standard ILC. But now the hybrid ILC in red or green when correlated with the standard ILC, so hybrid ILC-E, standard ILC-B, or vice versa, you can see that there is zero correlation even in the presence of birefringence because by design, again, the hybrid ILC CMB E mode map is uncorrelated with the CMB B modes. So now we could infer the birefringence angle by from the cross power spectrum, the EB spectrum of the standard ILC here. But we want to go beyond just simple correlation by using the hybrid ILC to isolate the birefringence induced correlated component of CMB E mode anisotropy, which linearly regress with CMB B modes. So this is not just correlation, this is looking for causality, linear relationship at the map level. And indeed, the full CMB E mode E tilde ILC as obtained from a standard ILC can be decomposed into an uncorrelated component obtained from the hybrid ILC and a correlated component that is directly proportional to B modes. And so now the difference between the standard ILC and hybrid ILC E-mode maps will isolate the correlated E-mode anisotropies that linearly regress with CMB B-mode anisotropies, with the following modulation kernel F is, and a regression coefficient given by the birefringence angle. Any instrumental rotation due to miscalibration is absorbed into an error term which varies with multiples. So translating this linear regression from spherical harmonics to real space maps, we get the following regression formula. Again, the error term is independent of beta and varies across the sky due to projection of the miscalibration angle by the ILC weights. And the linear regression is between the difference of the standard ILC E mode and hybrid ILC E mode and the convolved CMBB modes by the kernel F, with beta constant across the sky acting as a regression coefficient. We can do the alternative regressions by swapping E and B in this formula. And these linear regressions can already be visually um, observed from the fields themselves. So in Lightbird simulation, again, I computed on the top left panel the standard LC CMB Bimon map convolved with the kernel F. And the other three panels are the difference between standard ILC and hybrid ILC CMB E-mode maps for three different scenarios with bireference on the top right and without bireference in the bottom panel and with or without miscalibration. And as you can see, there is a strong spatial correlation between the two fields only when beta is non-zero, when there is bireference, as highlighted by the black isocontours here. In the absence of bireference, the spatial modulation by the Nilk weights destroy any correlations, reshuffle the miscalibration angle, and destroy any correlation arising from miscalibration angle from instrumental rotation. So we can infer beta by making the scatter plot between these two fields and performing the linear regression, but we can do these linear regressions across many patches of the sky. And this is the result for Lightbird simulation in the presence of bireference. We see that all the scatter plots across the various patches of the sky exhibits a consistent slope, a consistent regression coefficient. And from this, we recover an isotropic bireference angle, which is consistent with the input value of 0.3 degree, and with more than 15 sigma significance for Lightbird with this blind methods. Now, if we switch off bireference in the simulation, we don't see any more significant correlations between the two fields across the sky, and the recovered the recovered regression coefficient, the recovered bireference angle is consistent with zero as expected. So now let's apply this method to real Planck PR4 data. First, computing these ratios that we introduced earlier uh, between the EB spectra after ILC and the difference between the EE and BB lambda CDM spectra. So you can see that for Planck PR4 data, this ratio is relatively constant across multiple, with little variation across multiple and little variation across varying sky fraction. So this is strongly indicative. This strongly contrasts with the pattern, with the variable pattern when beta equals zero. So this is strongly indicative of achromatic bireference in the data of cosmological rotation and not instrumental rotation. So I was happy when I was saying this. This convinced me of a cosmological signal in the data. And performing linear regression across different sky patch for Planck PR4 data, we get some consistent values of beta, and we recover an isotropic bireference angle of 0.32 degree plus or minus 0.12 degrees, so a 2.7 sigma detection of cosmic bireference with this method, and a value which is consistent with the independent results by Diego Palazuelos et al. 2022 with a completely different methods. And in addition, our estimates of beta is robust against varying sky fractions, which provides even more confidence on the cosmological origin of the signal. So let me conclude this talk.